Hi, guys, and welcome back to Too Much. I feel like I actually say that the exact same way every single week, like the same inflection. I don't know if that's annoying or good, but anyways, those are just the thoughts I'm having alone in the room. What's up, guys? Welcome back. I don't even know when this is airing, so I'm not going to do any sort of a catch up or anything. We're just going to go down the rabbit hole right away. Today, I wanted to talk about something that I think is very prevalent in all women's lives at any stage, point, age. It's very prevalent. And that is comparison. Comparison is inevitable, but the weight of it is a lot heavier as we get older. And especially in a social media obsessed, timeline obsessed culture where milestones are public, everything is in your face 24/7. And unfortunately, we were raised on these timelines. We were raised to think about school, love, marriage, excelling in your career, babies, retirement. Boom, done, dead. And times are fucking changing. So in this episode, I am not going to pretend that myself or anyone does not compare, but I want to talk about what we do after the comparison hits. So, per my usual rabbit hole, let's start with what is comparison? I feel like I'm on like TBS or something and doing one of those educational after school specials. So what is comparison, kids? It is the psychological process of measuring your worth and progress against someone else's. And that in itself is so sad. Something I always think about when I think about comparison is when people have babies and you start asking them, are they walking yet? They're fucking 18 months old, something like that. And they're like, oh, not yet. And then the response is always, oh, it's okay. All kids are different. All kids develop at different times, different paces. And I would like to know where the fuck that courtesy has gone. Because isn't that the exact same thing as when we were adults? But it feels so much fucking worse now. And I mean, let's call a spade a spade. It's 99% because of social media. People post their milestones, not their meltdowns. And I don't know about you, but going on Facebook is literally like walking through an active fucking minefield. I don't post on Facebook. I don't go on Facebook or I'm not active on Facebook. However, I have to have one because all of my clients, if I was handling their ad accounts or like managing any of their social media accounts, I would have to give them my Facebook so that I could have access. So every now and again, I will go on Facebook and I shit you not. I mean, I know this is the same for everyone. You scroll and it's a baby, a marriage, an engagement. It's everyone just posting what is going on in their life that they think is notable, that they want other people to know. And it can be a serious mindfuck. It can really get into your head. These are people that maybe you grew up with, that you went to kindergarten with, and suddenly you feel like you are decades apart. You know, we graduated high school together, yet she now has 3 kids and I lost my phone last night. Like, it's almost impossible to not compare because you're seeing it. Whether you're letting it get you sad, that's one thing. But there is always that thought of, I am here, they are there. And then we have the cultural timelines. There is still that ideal order of the love, engagement, marriage, babies, whatever, that at least for me was instilled by my parents. But that was something that was adamantly adhered to in a pre-technology age, in a time where women just didn't even have the opportunities that they do today. Professionally, like, I don't know, I was going to say like geographically, but I meant like we could travel, we could do it. There's so many things that like 50 years ago, women just couldn't do because they were home having babies or they were getting married or they had to take care of the household. So that timeline made sense back then. But today, it doesn't. People's priorities have shifted, yet this antiquated timeline is still being shoved down our throats. And then lastly, of course, you have the biological clock. there is natural decline in fertility as women age, particularly once they're in their 30s, and then especially after, let's say, 35. And it's based on science. Egg quantity, quality, it diminishes over time, which is fucking scary. So all of these factors, the social media, the timelines instilled by our parents, biological clock, they are all contributing factors to the pressure we're putting on ourselves to get to the next milestone or to question why I'm not at that milestone. And it can be really fucking exhausting. And it's something that all of us deal with, and also something that men deal with as well. I threw in the biological clock piece because it's obviously extremely prevalent for women, but men dealt with the same timelines that were instilled upon them from their parents, or even just like from example of what they've seen in society or siblings or in magazines, movies, whatever. And then social media also, it affects them just the same. So this episode is not just going to be like about women. This truly is for everyone. But I do think women have it a little bit harder because of the biological clock. Now, milestones aren't inherently bad. I'm not saying that having these separate cornerstones are a bad thing, but I think the issue is that it's not one size fits all. And we've kind of been taught that it is, or that it should be. And if we're not checking off those boxes in a timely manner, that there's something wrong with us. Because success is too often measured by how on track we look. But what I aim to challenge is, what is your metric of success? I brought this up in like episode 3 or something. Nope, it was my first Q&A episode. That's what it was. But each person's unit of success is different, or can be different. A way one person measures their success could be when they get engaged, get married, have a baby, buy a house. And another person's could be when they reach C-suite, when they sell their company, when they get to retire before 40 and go buy a fucking yacht. It is all individualized based on what makes you feel fulfilled. And that is all we should care about. Just because someone hits one of these typical milestones does not mean that they are happier. It does not mean that they are more successful or that they're better than you or more fulfilled. They could be fucking miserable and jealous of you. Like, let's say someone got engaged at 25, got married at 27, had a kid by 30. An onlooker could think, wow, they have reached all their milestones. They have reached all that success. But what if that person's metric of success was to be a fucking pop star? And that was their biggest aspiration in life. But then that didn't happen. All these other things happened, and they're sitting there unfulfilled. Yet someone scrolling by them on Instagram is jealous because they're like, wow, they're successful. So you need to put it into perspective. Your self-worth is not determined by how quickly you reached these stages in life. It's about how you're feeling about yourself and how fulfilled you are because of what you've got going on, not because of how you compare with Betty Lou Who over on Instagram. Personally, I'll say I haven't necessarily based my self-worth off of the comparison with other people. I haven't let it get me sad or anything, but I have always taken note of it. Especially being the youngest of 3 girls, every age I've reached, I've been like, oh, well, my oldest sister was married at this point. My oldest sister right now, let's talk about it. My oldest sister right now, when she was 31, I think she was married with 1 kid. My middle sister at 31 was engaged. Me at 31, I have a boyfriend and I live with him. But even that, like, I shouldn't have been fucking proud of that because it's not a competition and I shouldn't be comparing, but it has always been something that's been on my mind. And then I look at my mom, and at this point she had 3 kids, 2 houses, her second husband. Yeah, she was crushing it though in her career. So my point is that everyone is different, but also when you look at that, it's like times are changing. From my mom's generation to now, things are very different. When it came to friends, when I was living in LA, I would say that was probably when it stuck out most to me. I had like a group of girls that I was friends with. I was kind of like one of the 2 outsiders, and the rest of them had all been friends since high school. And one by one, they all started dating someone, and they got into these relationships that lasted them over a year. At the time, it was over a year. And I couldn't hang on to a guy for longer than 4 months. I was situationship after situationship. Also, I wasn't like picking from the same pool that they were. I was on dating apps or going for older guys, and they were all hanging out and they were all having barbecues and they all knew each other and would go on double dates, and like I wasn't involved in that. So I think that was a combination of like feeling a little bit left out, but then also I was comparing myself and I was just like, fuck, I can't keep one. And they're all like on year 1, 2, 3 with these guys. Fast forward, they're legitimately all married with kids. I think when I was dating in my 20s, I was really trying to force all of these situations to be that ideal situation. It would be like the second I would start dating someone, I would fall into this role of like wife, essentially, because I was like trying to fake this life that I wanted. I would cook for them. I would do their laundry. I would fucking play house. And it was like I was trying it on for size, thinking if I make it the potential, it will eventually turn into the dream. But that didn't fucking work. And I used to be so focused on finding a guy because I thought it would solve all of my problems. Because to me, it was like, if someone picks me, that means I'm lovable. It means that I'm not broken. There's nothing wrong with me. But let me tell you something. People don't fix your problems. You fix your problems. Let me just say that as a little side note before I continue. But that was my mindset back then. And I think it got to its peak when I was 28 years old and I started dating this guy. I've referred to him a couple times, but I've never given the full download on him, and I feel now is the time. I met this guy on New Year's Eve, turning to 2023. So it was December 31st, 2022. And honestly, like I did not want to meet a guy that night. I remember telling my friend who was throwing the party, I was like, I don't want to fucking meet anyone. I just want to have fun with my friends and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, what will propel men the most? So I put on opera gloves and 7-inch heels. I was like, this will ward him off. Didn't work. I met this guy at this house party and we hit it off. And long story short, within 17 days, I was his girlfriend, which I later learned is called love bombing. Oh, gosh. So anyway, so we started dating and he lived in Dallas. I was living in New York. I think he stayed with me for maybe those first like 9 days. Then he was flying back to Dallas. He had a house and a dog and he asked me if I wanted to go with him. So I went. And then I spent 2 weeks with him there. And then we came back here. So we were basically living together. Day one of us dating, of us even seeing each other, we were living together. And I did my same old song and dance. I played house. He owned a house in Dallas. So it was like, felt more like playing house than in any of the shitty apartments of guys that I did it before with. But I was cooking 3 meals a day, walking the dog, cleaning. He wanted to redecorate. I was helping with that. Like it truly felt like we were married after a fucking month. So this may seem all fine and dandy and like, oh my God, maybe she met her guy. But behind closed doors, things weren't so great. And I was really turning a blind eye to it. I think like 2 weeks in, he made me cry or he did something and I cried. I'll take accountability there. No, he was a dick and I cried. And then 2 weeks later on my birthday, I cried again. So this, like, it wasn't like that healthy. It wasn't that great of a relationship, but I was like having a lot of fun. And like, I was at this point in my life where I didn't want another boyfriend. I didn't want there to be another guy after this. I was like, he owns a house. He has a dog. We had so much fun together. I loved his family. Everything on paper was like really working. So I was trying to make it work. But what I later learned with hindsight was that he had a lot of narcissistic tendencies. I believe him to be a bit of a narcissist. I do call him the narcissist when I refer to him in my stories. But I just kept powering through and pushing on. I don't know why. We'd only been dating for, a month or two and I was feeling this way, but I was trying to make it work because I wanted to, because I didn't want to keep doing this. I didn't want to keep dating. I wanted to fucking get married and like stop dating. I actually made a joke to my friends that I wanted to skip the dating part with any guy. I was like, I just want to meet someone and then have them propose to me. I just want to like get to it already. And that was my mindset. when I was 28. So anyways, so we continued to date, and about 2.5 months in, we went to LA, and I was going with him to like help out with some of his like work things that he had to do, whatever, irrelevant. But the first day we're in the car and I started getting really nauseous, and I was like confused, didn't know why I was nauseous. I don't even think I like had eaten that day. So I didn't really think anything of it. And then I got really bad heartburn, and I had been getting heartburn for about a month. And I was like, I've never gotten heartburn in my entire fucking life, but it had started in like mid-January. This is now, I think, I don't know, maybe first week of March. So I was nauseous and I got heartburn. And then the day goes on, my nipples kind of hurt. And then all of a sudden my women wheels started turning. And I was like, no, there's no way. I called my friend up, and she happened to be pregnant at the time. And I was like, hey, like, I'm a little concerned. I have really bad heartburn. I got super nauseous today. Don't know what's up. And my boobs just started hurting. And she was like, Emma, there's no way you're pregnant. And I was like, I mean, I don't think so. I'm on birth control, but I don't know. And she was like, well, when could this have happened? And I was like, any day of the fucking week. Like, I don't know. She was like, well, why don't you just take a pregnancy test? Just like, see, whatever. Can't hurt. Obviously, it's not like an issue to take one. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So we were staying in West Hollywood at Petit Hermitage. He owned his own company, so he was like dealing with a lot of shit going on there. It was like a really rough day. I think he like had to do layoffs or something. So I was kind of just like leaving him in the room, and I was just going about my day. I went to a hot yoga class. I was like, let me just chill myself out. And I had to run out of the class and throw up. But I hadn't drank the night before or anything. There was no reason I should have been throwing up. So now I'm like fully fucking panicked. On my way back to the hotel, I stopped at CVS, picked up some Clear Blue, went back to the hotel, and I didn't tell him what I was doing. He was on his calls and I didn't want to interrupt him. So I went into the bathroom. And once upon a time, some girl had told me that like if you pee into a cup and then put a pregnancy test in the cup, that it'll like get a better read or something, or just like there's no chance the pee is missing. I don't know, whatever. That's what I did. I peed in the cup, put it on the counter, I put the pregnancy test in. And then I got in the shower because I was like, I'm not going to sit here and watch this because I'm having an anxiety attack already. And I'm in the shower. I let a couple minutes go by, and obviously it was hard for me to not look. So I popped my head out of the shower, and lo and behold, pregnant. And I basically pooped my pants. I had a fucking heart attack. I got back into the shower and I was like, fuck. Like verbatim, that's what I said. So I was like, I just like, what the fuck do I do? Like, what the fuck do I do? He was on calls, like literally in the middle of laying people off. So it wasn't like the time. So I kind of just took it with me and like slinked out of the bathroom and took the dog and went up to the roof. And I immediately call my best friend that I had called prior. And I was like, dude, I'm fucking pregnant. We were on FaceTime. Her face just dropped and she was like, what? And her next question naturally was, what are you going to do? And in that moment, I looked at her and I was like, I mean, I'm 28. I'm financially stable. This guy owns a home. I love him. I think I'm going to keep it. Like, I think I'm going to have a baby. And she's like 7 years older than me. So like, I always call her when I really need advice. And she looked me in the eye and she said, Emma, I need you to really think about this. Do you love this man enough to have him in your life for the next 18 years at a minimum? Are you okay with this man in your life for 18 years? And I was like, can I phone a friend? Like, what? This is multiple choice. And I verbatim said to her, look, I would be very naive to just like immediately say yes, because obviously I've only known him for 2.5 months, but at the same time, I'm like, I do love him. So like, I guess like I've always wanted to be a mom. I want kids. If this is happening right now, maybe it's a little out of order, but like whatever. I don't know. So I get off the phone with her. I'm still having like kind of a panic attack, but I was kind of like weirdly okay with it. So I go to lay down by the pool. Waiter comes over. They're like, "Do you want a drink?" And I was like, "I think I'll take an acai bowl." And I'm like sitting there, and I was like, "It's okay, little guy. Like we're gonna be okay." So we were moving hotels that afternoon, and we were going to the West Side. We were going to go stay in Santa Monica, and I was like, "I'm going to tell him when we get to the next hotel." We pack up our stuff. I am like pale as a ghost. I don't know how he didn't notice. We were like walking down the stairs of Petit Hermitage. He like didn't help me with my bags. And I'm carrying them down the stairs. And in my head, I'm like, fucking carrying your child and carrying my own goddamn fucking suitcase. And then the car ride there was just awkward. And I couldn't even speak. And you would think in this moment, some red flags would be going off. Like, why don't I want to tell him? Why aren't I running to tell him? But didn't think about that in the moment. Anyways, we got to the hotel. I couldn't even sit down on the bed without blurting it out. And I'm just like, I'm pregnant. And his face was just like, what did you just say? And then I looked up and I saw his face. And it was not the face I had hoped for. I don't know what I hoped for, but that was not it. So I broke down hysterically crying. He sat on the bed and he was kind of just like, are you sure? And I was like, I mean, the fucking thing says pregnant. Like, I don't, like, yeah. And the first line out of his mouth was, it's against my religion to get rid of this. And I'm not going to make you raise a child on your own. I was like, what? Like I didn't, first of all, me raising this thing on my own was never fucking crossed my mind. Like we're in a relationship, like what the fuck? Like who, whatever. Anyways, so I had a heart attack. He then was like, did you take another test? And I said, no, I kind of was just going with this one because like, it's not like I'm trying to get pregnant right now. I'm not going to like get excited and take more tests. Like I just took the one. I was hiding in the bathroom anyway, whatever. So he was like, let's take another test. And I was like, okay. So I went to the bathroom. I took another test. Not pregnant. So I run out of the bathroom. I was like, oh my God, it says not pregnant. And he was like, we're going to Target. So we went to Target, buy a whole nother box. I take 6 more tests. They're all not pregnant. So moral of the story here, and why I am telling you this is because I looked what could have been my future square in the face. And I was about to settle for it. I knew this guy wasn't it. We'd been together for 2 fucking months and I had cried more than a guy who I was with for 9 months ever made me cry. And talking to my friend made me realize how big life actually is. And that next stage actually is. As this was happening and in those 4 hours that I thought I was pregnant, I was like, oh my God, it's like I have to cancel my fucking trip with my friends this summer. I can't do, like everything, the independence that I thought I had was just gone. Which, if I wanted to have a kid, that would be a beautiful thing. It's fine. But I was able to almost get the second chance. So in that moment, I had a mind shift about how I felt about being unmarried at 28, about being childless at 28, about the stage that I was in my life. Needless to say, that guy and I broke up. I can get into the rest of that relationship another day, but that was a catalytic moment in my life. I suddenly realized what each milestone meant, what you are actually sacrificing and leaving behind when you make a choice to reach that next milestone and to take that next step. Granted, it is a beautiful thing and it's amazing, and I will be so grateful and excited and happy when I come to those milestones, but it's really fucking big and it shouldn't be taken lightly and it should not be rushed and you should not settle. It is a really big thing to commit the rest of your life to someone, whether that be a child or a partner. So you should take your time in making that decision and getting to that point. And on top of that, I realized how quickly everything can change. How 1 minute you think that you're single and going on vacation with your girlfriends over the summer, and the next minute you can get pregnant tomorrow. And then you're engaged or married or none of the above, but you just have a fucking kid for the rest of your life. Like, things can change in a fucking instant. And the reason I say that is because you should be soaking up every fucking moment, because you have no idea when your fate and destiny is going to come and smack you in the goddamn face. whether it's good fate, destiny, or bad fate and destiny. You have no idea when that's going to happen. So although it might seem like it's going to be forever, that you're going to be single, or I'm never going to get married, it's like, you don't know that. You are saying that based on I've had X amount of time single, so now it just seems like it's always going to be that way. But that's not fucking true. You could meet someone tomorrow that is your soulmate. You could meet someone tomorrow that thinks you are their dream girl or their dream guy, and you're going to be with them for the rest of your life. So you need to live your life to the fullest before that happens. And again, I don't mean to say this to give like false sense of hope where you're like, holding out for Prince Charming, but I'm just trying to help you appreciate the now and the moment. When I was younger, I didn't know what I wanted or what I needed. I didn't have the emotional capacity of choosing the right partner. I truly wanted to go for this asshole narcissist because like everything else seemed great. But as you get older, you realize what's important in your life, and you realize that it needs to be the people that you would be in a bunker with if the world ends, and that you'd still have the time of your life. And it takes time to find those people. You can't settle, because when the going gets tough, you want the right person in your corner. So it's not about you being picked. It's about you choosing who that person is going to be. I thank fucking God I did not end up with half the guys that I thought that I wanted to. So comparison is inevitable, obviously, but you need to let it fuel you rather than debilitate you or make you feel bad about yourself. It is all about how you feed something. With memories, they say that you actually are incapable of remembering something forever. You only remember something from the last time you remembered it. It's the same thing with feelings. A feeling actually physically only lasts about 90 seconds. So if you keep remembering it, if you want to keep revisiting it, you're going to feed the feeling. If you have this feeling of sadness, of hopelessness, you can change that. Stop feeding it. There is a strategy that I actually learned in a yoga class one day, like 6 years ago, that truly changed my life. It's called the pink elephant strategy. I want you to actually practice it right now. As we're sitting here talking about comparison, talking about everything, think about a pink elephant. Do you see how quickly you were just able to think about a pink elephant? You could have been thinking for this last, I don't know how long this episode is, 30 minutes about your life and your future, but I just told you to think about a pink elephant, and you were able to flip your mind's track to a pink elephant, just like that. That is how in control you are of your feelings and your mind. And we forget that. So when you're spiraling, when you're scrolling and you're just killing yourself over why aren't I there, pull yourself out of it. Think about a pink elephant. Just think about a pink elephant. Stop the spiral dead in its fucking tracks. Stop thinking of it as you are missing out. You are filtering out. Anyone can rush into a role, but you need to wait for what actually fits and for what makes sense for you. And in regards to the biological clock, like, yes, that is real. Yes, that is science. And biology may set some boundaries, but you still have options, agency, and time. Do not confuse urgency with scarcity. Freeze your eggs if it gives you peace, or don't if it doesn't. But whatever you do not let fear make your choices for you. We need to stop acting like we expire. Your worth is not tethered to a number. If you're panicking about your timeline, I want you to breathe and remember you are not a ticking clock. You are a living, breathing human being that is layered, and life is happening around you. Your priorities can change. Your priority one year can be your career. The next year can be a child. Things can change so quickly. Not to throw another story into it, but I have a friend that really went through it with life and with relationships. She really wanted a guy, but she was single and she was struggling with dating. I shit you not. In 6 months, this girl met a guy, got engaged and pregnant. And now her life is completely changed. So when you think like, I'm 35, I'm not going to find a guy, you could have a kid by 36 and a half. And that is so soon. So what I want you to start doing is flip the script. Instead of saying, I only have 3 more years until I'm 35 and I need to find a husband, change that to, I only have 3 years left to truly enjoy my freedom and my true independence, and to be selfish. You should soak up every last minute of that because you have no idea how quickly your life can change. When I get married and I have kids, I want to live a life that is so full that I have stories, endless stories and wisdom to share with my kids. I want to be able to guide them not just with words, but with advice based on experience, good and bad, which is something that only comes with age and time. So I want you to interrupt the spiral. When you catch yourself comparing, ask, what is it that I am so jealous of, that I want so badly? And how can I get there? Start muting people if you need to on social media. Like if there are certain people who are just like flaunting their life and it makes you feel bad about yourself, mute them. You don't have to unfollow them. You don't have to block them. Just mute them. It's a beautiful thing about social media. And then also just try to be grateful for what you have right now. Decide what your own milestones are. They can be unique to you. Personally, like my milestones have shifted so many times. I used to think that getting engaged and getting married was the biggest thing that was ever going to happen to me. And then I started prioritizing myself. And now, yes, I'm so excited for those things to happen. But my milestone is my career and what I have going for me and these next rungs on the ladder that I want to reach. And it doesn't have to do with marriage. Everyone has their own shit. Do not forget that. What may look amazing on someone's highlight reel on Instagram may actually be a shit show behind the scenes. Try your best not to compare. I know I've said it like 17 times during this episode. I know it's inevitable, but let it fuel you if you are comparing. Don't become jealous and bitter. Figure out what you want and fucking go for it. You don't know how much time you have until your entire life can change. So you better soak it up. Be single. Be childless if you want. Be whatever you want to be. Just enjoy it and live every moment like it's your last before you have to be cleaning up shit and diapers and waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to soothe the crying baby. I don't know. Just put it into perspective, people. That is all I got. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. And I hope this was helpful. This is obviously like a very prevalent thing I know in my life and all of my friends. And it's hard to kick the thoughts, but pink elephant, baby. If you're a New Yorker and you're my age, you know that was a super fun club back in the day, but now it has a totally different meaning and it helps with mental health. Woo! Like, subscribe, 5 stars, follow Emma's Too Much, and I will see you guys next week.